Sophie actually has, following a foundation course in painting at Chelsea School of Art, worked with the director Peter Greenaway, I think in the late 80s until 92, and has then managed for several years the dance company of Michael Clarke. She started making her own films in 1998, and she's known actually for unconventional feature documentaries, such as a Pentecostal church in Los Angeles, that was Hoover Street revival in 2002, and the legendary film on Slavoj Žižek, The Pervert's Guide to Cinema. Her most recent film, Over Your City's Grass Will Grow, it's connected to gardens, is actually a documentary on Anselm Kiefer. And Sophie is also working on what one could maybe call the ultimate marathon documentary of so far, I think, more than 100 hours on Grace Jones. But tonight, she will present in her second marathon participation, because Sophie was actually in the third, indeed, part of a séance in the experiment marathon, but tonight it's The Little House. It's a film which is screened, which is actually so far unseen footage of a 99-year-old man who lived in Wandsworth. He was born in 1907, and he's talking about his garden. A very, very warm welcome to Sophie Fiennes.
Yeah, when Hans-Ulrich suggested to take part in the marathon this year with the theme of the garden, I was immediately excited because I filmed my neighbor when I lived I rented a room in Wandsworth, and I made all this footage of my neighbor because actually the house that I was living in was part of a development in a Victorian era, the time of the Great Exhibition. They had commissioned architects to make dream domestic houses. And then these were showpieces. And I lived in the top of one of these very beautiful big houses. And then this man, the neighbor, who's this old man, he's actually now passed away. And he lived in this house which was called the Little House because he'd built it on the vegetable patch of the house that he had lived in with his mother for 80 years or something. His mother said that if he married, she'd commit suicide. So there's a lot of pain associated with unlived life. And the garden that was the enclosed park that he spent all his time in, he had a lot of time, but he had no time, as it were. He's very old, but he had lots of time and lots of time for reflection. And he would tell me, and this is 10 minutes, this film, and it's actually, he's not talking in it. It's more the space of the garden and his inhabiting it. But I did talk to him at length, and he would tell me amazing stories about, or just information about London as he had known it through his life, from waving off the troops to the First World War, to taking people out of wreckages in the Blitz, to where in this park bombs had landed, and all the women had made underwear out of the parachute silk. These amazing anecdotal stories about London and where the variety acts would be, you know, when he was 30 or in his 20s or 30s, all of the sort of what are now bingo halls or being demolished. They were where the variety halls were on, and certain acts would perform for a bit like the marathon. They would have 20 minutes in one place in Clapham, and then they'd have to get to Balham, and then they'd have to get to Camberwell, and it was amazing history, oral history, and I tried to document this. But he was always very embarrassed because he said it wouldn't be a do to draw that much attention to himself. So in some senses, my footage of him was a failure because he would always be embarrassed at me filming him if he talked. So as a result, the film is 10 minutes long, and it's a kind of meditation of the spaces that he's lived in. And also, it's in fact, the house that he lived in is being demolished right now. So the film is sort of dedicated to his little house. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the little house.
of a queen silver window, I was so happy then, but after I had stayed a little while, I flew on again. What is this thing this funny thing called love? My food and soul
Who's that? Who's
I wonder who's kissing her now, Danny Kaye, that's right.
Yeah. Can you put it on?
I see it goes, I see, yeah.
That's it.
I wonder who's kissing her now. I wonder who's teaching her how. I wonder who's looking into her eyes, breathing sighs, telling lies. I wonder who's buying the wine for lips that I used to call mine. I wonder if she ever tells him of me. I wonder who's kissing her now. Who's kissing her? I wonder who's kissing her now. Who's teaching her how? Who's teaching her how? Looking into who's buying the wine for lips that I used to call mine. I wonder if she ever tells him of me. I wonder who's kissing her now.
It's 7 o'clock on Wednesday, the 12th of February. You're listening to Today on Radio 4 with Sarah Montague and John Humphreys. The news headlines this morning. The United States has used the latest Osama bin Laden tape to reinforce its claim that there is a link between Al-Qaeda and Saddam Hussein.
No one is talking publicly about a plot to shoot down a plane, but there's a heavy security presence under the flight path to the west of Heathrow. Police are on duty around Windsor and along the A30 near Staines. Some car parks and laybys have been closed.
Americans have been told this week to prepare disaster kits and stock up on bottled water in case of catastrophic attack.
According to a BBC ICM poll out today, 56% of Britons believe that there are links between Iraq and Al-Qaeda.
There's not really very much they can do to protect about that, but I do slightly wonder about these scimitar armoured cars. I think that is security is melodrama, frankly. They are designed to blow up tanks. If any of those open fire with their weapons, they would demolish half the terminal. The surface-to-air missile threat is very serious, and aircraft are sitting ducks for surface-to-air missiles in somebody's back garden if it's large enough.